Alexander Isak. 3 weeks ago now, I think you said your gut feeling was he's going to end up at Liverpool, and when they signed Ekitike, I sort of slept a lot easier. I've had so many people tweeting me going, "How are you sleeping, Pete?" Because this is playing out in the sort of a nightmarish way. Although it's certainly not over. It is not over as things stand. Liverpool desperate to sign him. Newcastle hoping that he stays, but clearly in the market for other strikers as well. So what's happening? I mean, the latest we know is that the Newcastle boss, Eddie Howe, he admitted that Isak's future may be out of his hands, with the striker strongly linked now to Liverpool. And we know that Isak's informed the club that he wants to explore his options this window.
I talked about Isak on the transfer show on Sky Sports News, and there were replies underneath. And it was almost like there were some fans who were saying, oh, here's the media agenda again. They want Isak out of Newcastle and to go to Liverpool. And I read these things and I think, do people actually think that what we say is going to dictate whether Alexander Isak makes a £150 million departure from Newcastle? No. All we do is we get information. And that's all we can do. We don't make an opinion on that situation. Sometimes we do because we read between the lines. It's clear Alexander Isak's head has been turned. He hasn't gone on the tour. He wants to explore his options outside Newcastle. That's not us. This is the information everybody is getting. It feels like the direction of travel is going to be Isak leaves. But obviously, Liverpool, if it is to be them, because we know they've got a huge interest in the player, are going to have to stump up a massive, massive fee. They're going to have to break their own British transfer record to get him. At the moment, Newcastle know that they've got a problem. And are they looking at the likes of Johan Wissa, Ollie Watkins, Benjamin Sesko, if they are not fearing Alexander Isak is going to leave the football club? That's the problem at the moment.
Is what is being touted as Newcastle United's asking price. Is that a fair fee for Alexander Isak?
Yeah, I mean, no transfer fatigue on £150 million. That's enough to make anyone's eyeballs pop, isn't it? Look, Newcastle are well within their rights to demand as much as they possibly can here, and I think they're about right to pitch it about £150 million. It's getting on in the window. I'd probably had him tagged at about 120 million back at the start of the summer, but as time ticks by and options reduce and time goes by, it's sorry, but it's a matter of urgency, and the price has to go up.
So we've received no formal offer from any football club for him. So my wish has always been that he stays and we see him again play next year, but that's not in my full control.
Well, obviously, we know that Newcastle and Liverpool are both away on their pre-season tours in Asia right now, and while business can happen, it's not the best time to do business. Lots of key people are, on the other side of the world. I think there's also an element of there's a strategy here. Liverpool made their interest in Isak, public a couple of weeks ago, not through official channels, but a kind of a tactical leak, shall we say, a strategic leak. And now I think the situation now is that Liverpool are just happy to let the situation just let it ride with Newcastle, make the uncertainty grow to the point where at some point push will come to shove, and the Newcastle board, as Eddie Howe says, will have to make a decision. And in the meantime, this uncertainty grows. It makes Isak, is he going to push for a move? Is he going to get restless? Liverpool are going to stand back. There's 5 weeks to go until the transfer deadline, so they're in no rush. Obviously, they want the player in as soon as they can, but they're not in a rush to push this, because if they go too quickly, it could become a long saga. So I think Liverpool right now are in a good position. They know that Isak is ready to consider a move. They keep hearing Eddie Howe say, it's out of my hands, it's up to the board. That to me sounds like the cracks are already beginning to show at Newcastle. Liverpool know that at some point soon they can make their move. The first bid will be rejected, obviously, that a Newcastle push for a fee. But I do think that it's a game that's being played, and by the end of the window, Alexander Isak will be a Liverpool player.
How can Liverpool afford to sign Alexander Isak? Can you explain it to them and to everyone else watching, please?
Well, we'll try and make it quite simple for people at home, because it can be quite confusing the way PSR operates within the Premier League. You've seen clubs like Everton and Nottingham Forest suffer with points deductions because they haven't basically abided by the rules. And people are going, well, how come a club like Liverpool going to spend huge sums of cash and still fall within the rules? And ultimately, PSR is all about your permitted allowable losses. So for a side like Liverpool, who turn over £614 million in their last set of accounts, they can afford to spend a lot more than a club like Newcastle, who turned over £320 million in their last set of accounts.
Alexander Isak is now set to join Liverpool in what is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic and high-profile signings of the summer transfer window. After weeks of silent progress, Liverpool have now submitted a record-breaking bid for the Swedish striker, believed to be in the region of €140 to €150 million, following the confirmed departure of Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich. This transfer would make Isak the most expensive signing in Liverpool's history and one of the most expensive strikers ever in Premier League football. With personal terms already agreed, and the player reportedly fully committed to making the move to Anfield, the deal now hinges on Liverpool reaching a final agreement with Newcastle United, something that is expected to be resolved in the coming days. Isak, who scored 21 Premier League goals last season and has established himself as one of the league's most clinical and intelligent forwards, is said to be fully sold on the move. According to multiple sources, the 24-year-old has turned down interest from clubs in Saudi Arabia and Europe in order to prioritize a move to Liverpool, which he sees as the ideal next step in his career. Reports from Sweden confirm that Isak has already told Newcastle he wants to leave, and sources in England have observed that he recently withdrew from the club's pre-season tour of Asia due to what was described as a minor injury. However, the timing of the withdrawal, along with reports of him training back at former club Real Sociedad in Spain, strongly suggest the player is pushing behind the scenes for the deal to go through. While Newcastle have been publicly adamant that Isak is not for sale, their stance appears to be softening. Liverpool's pursuit has gained serious momentum in the past 72 hours, especially now that the club has funds available following Diaz's departure. Journalist Fabrizio Romano and others have confirmed that Liverpool's first official bid of £100 million was rejected, but the Reds are now preparing a second, improved offer that could reach up to £130 to £150 million including performance-based add-ons. With that kind of fee on the table, and with Isak's desire to leave increasingly difficult to ignore, Newcastle are expected to enter final negotiations with Liverpool this week. Liverpool have turned their focus to Mark Guéhi as their next major defensive target, with the Crystal Palace captain emerging as a top priority for Arne Slot's backline rebuild this summer. After completing several headline-grabbing signings in attack and midfield, including deals for Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, and Hugo Ekitike, Liverpool are now accelerating efforts to strengthen the heart of their defense. The club's recent sale of Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen, reportedly for over £34 million, has freed up both funds and squad space, with Slot identifying Guéhi as a player who fits the modern defensive profile, Premier League proven, calm under pressure, and capable of playing a high line. According to multiple reports, Liverpool are preparing a formal offer worth between £45 million and £50 million, and Crystal Palace, despite being reluctant to lose their captain, may be forced to sell given the fact Guéhi is entering the final year of his contract and has shown little interest in renewing his deal. Sources close to the situation suggest that Guéhi is keen on the move, with some reports even stating he has already agreed personal terms with Liverpool. The England international is said to view Anfield as a step up in both competitive level and long-term ambition, and is particularly motivated by the chance to feature regularly in the UEFA Champions League. While he remains professional at Palace, insiders say Guéhi would jump at the chance to join Liverpool, so long as the club can guarantee him a clear role in the starting 11. That clarity is reportedly one of his few remaining conditions, as the player looks to protect his standing in Gareth Southgate's England squad ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Liverpool, meanwhile, are working to convince him that he will be more than just cover for Virgil van Dijk, who is entering the latter stages of his prime, and that he would be a foundational figure in Slot's long-term plans. The timing also works in Liverpool's favour. Palace have begun scouting replacements and are believed to be pursuing Sporting CP's Ousmane Diomande, a move that may only happen if Guéhi is sold. That has created a clear opening for Liverpool to move quickly, especially as they hope to beat rival interest from Tottenham and Newcastle.